And we're here. Hello, everyone,
Hello
and welcome to Dice Jailers. I am Jordan.
again. I'm Bjorn.
Thank you for joining us at our slightly earlier time, and a little
Yes,
reminder
for
that,
the last time.
yep,
Yes.
this will be our last show for the time being at this early time. We'll go back to 5:30 next week. It's weird to
Which will
have
be good
next
because
week.
it'll be getting darker earlier. It'll be kind of like it'll be a little mood lighting. Mood lighting.
Yes, and I won't have the lines of timing. Although, because of the world being on
Brilliant.
fire and the smoke, we probably won't have that for a while
You'll
anyway.
just get something new. You'll get something new altogether.
Right?
So how you been? What's been going on?
I've been good. I've rearranged things a little bit yet again, trying to keep myself more organized. Uh,
Like you do?
as yeah, as well as for not only this show, but also the fun talk that I'm going to do for my friend's class that they're teaching next week. I figured
Awesome.
because it is for a class at the collegiate level that I get to talk about being an actor of stage in a city that's not New York. Uh, and I was told that I can, because it's a college class, I can just be myself, and so that means my bar is going to be behind me.
Glorious, glorious. And also in case you need to partake, it's like right there.
Yep, and I was told by the teacher that that is fully acceptable. So I'll get to be me for these talkings.
With that, you realize you just need like a tweed sport coat with the patches on the elbow to
Well,
go
I'm not
along.
I'm not gonna be the professor. I'm just stepping
Not
in
with
to
that
say what's
attitude.
up. But
That's
yeah,
cool though. I like it.
that's that's what I've been up to this week. Mostly also playing a lot of virtual basketball uh, because ball is life and I miss it.
So virtual is that you do like 2K or
Yep, NBA 2K. Get that
okay.
2K21, baby.
Yeah.
Not a sponsor yet.
Give me an NCAA game and I'll play that simply because I can't 2K it because my heart still hurts about the Sonics. It's just how it is.
That's fair. I mean, my character and my player wears a Sean Kemp jersey, so
Now in that, can you relocate a team or can you create an expansion team?
I'm not sure. I really haven't played around with any of the other stuff besides I'm here and on a team. I got drafted by the Trailblazers, so that's kind of fun. Uh,
That's not too bad. At least Pacific Northwest, you got Kevin Calabro on the announcing.
mm-hmm. And also,
All right.
I get to win every game by driving into the lane and doing a little bounce pass back to Damian Lillard. It's real nice.
Legit. Legit.
What have you been up to for the week?
A lot of this. Well, okay.
And
So
also, oh god,
yes, there's
also, how was your show? Like from your side of performing?
fantastic. I have to tell you, the responses for it have been overwhelmingly positive. It's not just Zoombox Theater. We have a tech crew that is doing camera angles and editing people out and putting them into a virtual space, shot by shot, live as we go. So it's the closest thing you can get to see actors interacting with each other right now. Super, super cool. Really, really proud of our work. The rehearsal process, honestly, a large amount of it was me just putting markings around my apartment to be eye lines for where I need to look for characters. Like the light that hangs over my table, there's this little bulb that's about halfway down the chain on it. And once I was looking at that, they're like, okay, look there. You're looking at Joe now. I'm like, okay, remember I need to look at that when I'm talking to Joe. So it's interesting because I also have to have my computer going so I can hear all the cues. And I can also hear all the actors saying their lines, but I can't look at the screen because that's not my eye line for anything. So it's really interesting to kind of have to retrain yourself on some stuff. But the process has been super worth it. Um, I'm slightly bummed it's going to be over, but I'm also really glad to have some free time again. The biggest
Mhm.
loss will be all this really cool gear they sent me to do the performance. I have to give it all back. And that's fair.
It's true,
And I'm okay
and
with that.
because all of that gear, all of that tech goes into the theater company as a business.
And
And
exactly, and it's going to go into their next gig too.
yeah, and
So
and
because like you said, they're a business
yeah.
and they have to keep going.
And speaking of business, what
Yes.
we are talking about this week is turning your love of D&D into a business, loosely.
Yeah, or even like at least into a paycheck, because
Yeah.
with how popular all of this has become, I mean, obviously a lot of nerd culture knows about like your critical roles, or
Mm-hmm.
like Penny Arcade had acquisitions incorporated before that, or even
Mm-hmm.
going back to the days of Geek and Sundry with Felicia Day's show,
Yeah.
The Guild. Like these
Mm-hmm.
are things that have been around. However, there's some stuff at the smaller scale as well, or more local scale that maybe some folks don't know about.
Absolutely. And it would be great if we, I don't know, had someone that was doing this quite often to pick their brain and tell everybody more about how this works. If only, how could we how could we do that? Because I don't work as a DM.
I've
And
heard your call.
what?
Oh, it worked! It
Ah,
worked!
sometimes you can just speak into the ether and a DM will appear.
It's great. Of course, Jordan, I saw your percentile roll. That was your one use the wish spell. You're not gonna get to use it
Oh,
again. So yeah, burnt
worth
it.
it. But now
Yeah,
I won't be able to marry a Tarask.
true.
You
Anyway,
keep working at it. It'll happen. Anything
so
can happen.
thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody and say a little bit about yourself and what you do and why you're
Uh,
summoned.
yeah. I was summoned. My name is Lydia Randall. I work for a small local company called Majestic Adventures. We do live action role play summer camps and after school programs for kids ages 6 through 17, both in Bellingham and in Seattle.
Wait, so you're now in Seattle too?
We are, because of the unfortunate situation with the world at large, we were not able to do summer camps this
Sure.
year. But it is our hope to do some fun one-day events in North Seattle this year.
Awesome.
Before it gets too cold to be outside.
How did you get involved in this? Like, how did you even find out it existed?
Through the miracle of Craigslist. um,
Oh
I
wow.
wish I had a more romantic story of like I built the company from the ground up, but really what it was is a friend of mine saw an ad for a company that was hiring people who liked role playing, people backgrounds like myself, who had worked with kids, and were looking for people to do their summer programs. And so I took a temporary 3-month summer job that turned into a almost 4-year career at this point.
Nice.
Yeah.
I dig it.
So yeah, so what does the average day entail for you? Like, I mean, like for spoiler alert, like Lydia and I have known each other a long time, but because we mostly know each other from doing acting, most of our conversations have been really focused around whatever show we're working on at the time. And I don't actually know a lot about what you do with this. I just know that you do it.
Yeah. Well, an average day, I guess in the summertime, we usually are running programs anywhere between 5 and 6 hours long is when the kids are there. And during that time, we get the kids there. They, if they've been doing our program before, they have a character that they keep from the age of 6 all the way up till they graduate out of our program.
Okay.
So they're still running with the same character. So they get, just like at the beginning of a session, get some time to review their character, see what like powers they have, ask any questions. And then we spend the first 3 hours of the day, 2.5 hours of the day, getting into the scene. And it's one campaign that runs through the whole week or the whole session, where we tell the story very much like you would in D&D. Only the difference is since it's live action, they're actually playing it out.
That's
And we're
so
actually
cool.
playing it out.
That's
So
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
See, this whole idea is just super cool to me. just thinking about the like theater summer camp that I have, the theater summer camps that I've worked at before, for like teaching performances, and imagining wrangling some of my past students into playing D&D and getting more into it as actually being in it is so wild and so cool to me, and also kind of sounds like a logistical nightmare in my brain. uh it sounds like so much work, and it's impressive.
Well, it is a little bit. I mean, it's definitely. I won't go as far to say a nightmare, and it's definitely different from group to group to group. But most of the kids that we work with, they come in with the idea of like, this is what we're doing. We're playing all day. We're going in. We're like expecting to be in this space. So they already come in with that, and it's not like we're trying to get them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I wish I had thought ahead a little bit more. But they get to play with foam swords, which are swasher swords. We construct them ourselves in Bellingham, and they're like specialty designed so that they don't hurt when you lightly tag with them. They won't go into your eye socket, anything like that. But they get to play with those and duel each other, duel swashbuckle foes, protect the kingdom, all of that kind of stuff. So they're definitely like there to be in it. And a lot of what we do is learning how to kind of channel that energy and just going with the flow. It's a lot of improv. It's a lot of improv with a bass.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. A thing that
Where
I
was this
know,
when I was a kid?
right? Like, I wish I could have done this, because we just had making the swords and hitting each other. We didn't have any structure to it.
If I go real clean shaven, maybe I can pass.
I mean, people always cast me as a kid, so.
Oh man, I've been cast as a mom since I was 12. So
Jordan, you know how most people, create fake IDs? They can be older and buy booze. You're not gonna have to create fake IDs so we can try and get in at the, the last year of availability of it.
If you want, we have done adult birthday parties. Like we've done a 30-year-old birthday, we've done a 30-year-old birthday.
Yeah, we can do that for my 30th birthday. For my 30th.
Oh.
Or any age.
Now I have ideas for my dirty 30. All right. Yup. Okay. This just got way cooler. So all of you watching, this is no longer about you.
Let's do it.
That would be so cool.
Birthdays at majesticadventures.net.
I'm not even kidding.
No, please
send me the link. Send me the link.
I will definitely do that. Yeah, we'll do any age. As long as people want to play, we'll be there.
That's super cool.
Won't be a problem. That won't be a problem.
Now, for anybody that might be thinking about, say, starting up their own thing, maybe not so much like working with kids, but just trying to start up their own thing of like, I'm going to basically be a rent-a-DM. Do you have any thoughts on going about doing something like that? Just because you're semi-associated with this world.
Yeah, and it is a little bit different because we are running our own game system. We run a game system called Adventure Quest, which was developed by a company called Renaissance Adventures in Colorado and has been play tested for kids for nigh on 30 years now. But for like a rent-a-DM, I guess the best advice I could give with that is know your world and know your story. So, I mean, as far as like platforms where to do that, I don't really have a lot of experience with.
Right.
Crafting a story where your players are the heroes and you don't necessarily know what they're going to do or how they're going to act in a situation is that you have characters that are dynamic and interesting and will engage your players and help maybe guide them a little bit, not railroad, but maybe guide them if they need it. And just rolling with what they think is fun. Just rolling with it. and letting it go is a hard thing to do. Letting it go.
Giving up the right amount of control.
With that,
Right, yeah, the right amount of control.
With that, how many times do you get Frozen references that happen?
Oh, you know, a lot less and a lot more than what you would think. And it's usually not the kids you would anticipate it being. I have worked with, you know, like the 7 and 8-year-old girls you would think would be all about it and like quoting it all the time. But no, it's usually like 12 to 13-year-old boys that are having the conversation of like, you know what, that was a really good movie. Like, I know what people say about it, but I actually really liked it. Or that know all of the words to all of the songs.
So is there a certain source material that you'd say on average it is the most common one that kids either quote from, or I don't want to say steal from. So I think all of us as DMs, I'm a DM, Jordan's a DM, Lydia, I know you've DM'd as well. We all do steal from the things we love, and we are more inspired by. So is there certain things that you see kids really like gravitate towards, like they want an adventure, or they try and bring out aspects of story X? Like, you see a lot of like Hobbit stuff, or like Princess Bride, or is it, you know, going even further back, like Adventures of Robin Hood, or
Yeah, it changes from season to season. Typically, whatever Marvel movie has just come out is
okay,
usually where it is. A baseline is Black Panther. Once Black Panther hit, everybody's character was a panther totemic. That was some sort of warrior that
I don't think that was
spear.
just in role playing. I think that was just life in general.
Life in general,
the kids will be all right.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Like, I just.
Yeah, they will.
Yes. No. For good reason. Good reason.
Very, very good reason.
Oh.
Yeah. So, that is a huge influence on them. I believe the show is Ninjago.
I've heard of it.
Yes.
I've heard of it. I think the Lego.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Lego show. It is hugely popular. A lot of kids pull a lot of inspiration from that.
Okay.
Naruto. It's still pretty popular. Yes.
No Dragon Ball?
No. Occasionally we do kids that are into Dragon Ball.
That's good. Good. Got to represent. You got to represent the older folks like me.
Yes, and it's usually like 1 or 2, and those are the ones that also I had a kid that loved to torture me because I'm a big TN fan. Mm-hmm. So he would run over and hug his friend and go. Especially kind of the more obscure ones, they will talk about that. But yeah, those are the ones that are the most kind of prevalent, or have been recently. We also run Star Quest, which is a sci-fi based, so a lot of Star Wars, a lot of Star Trek. Those really haven't changed much as far as where they're pulling their inspirations from.
Now, do you think that maybe part of that is it feels like a lot of sci-fi's kind of gotten more, and I don't just mean now, because like now it's obvious why you would, but I kind of feel like in the past 15 years, a lot of sci-fi has really gone a lot darker and more dystopian. Like, I feel like we kind of got away from the whole Star Trek utopian thing quite a while ago.
Yeah, and that is a thing that I've not really seen necessarily the kids reflect so much, because they're still all about that like space exploration and that kind of like fun part of it.
Sure.
And I don't know if it was a like personally if that reflection in pop culture was based on that kind of everything needs a gritty reboot early 2000s thing that happened.
Yeah.
The Nolan effect.
The Nolan effect, yes.
Sounds like a terrible book
sure
series.
But no, they've most of them like really embody that noble spirit of sci-fi, which is really, really fun to watch them explore that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, a question that came up in my brain, like, I want to say 5 minutes ago, roughly.
Mhm.
Um, if you have, say, do you have a particular weapon or prop that is a favorite of yours?
Uh, hmm. Like that I use in game or that I like actually physically use.
I would say that, like, that you actually like physically have and use, because you talked about like the the foam swords and whatnot. And
Yeah.
so I'm just now imagining this world of props that you might have access to using, and I'm so curious.
Yeah, my personal favorite, and again, I don't have one here with me, unfortunately, to
Right.
show, is we have uh, a great axe that's a double-sided, like has the full executioner look battle axe.
So
Um,
if we do my birthday party, you have to bring that.
I will bring one. They
There's
are,
nothing I love more than a two-handed axe.
which I mean, I will say, because like hafted weapons are really designed to be used with the weight. So when you're playing a game of tag, it's really hard to actually duel with them. But the kids don't know that.
Oh
So,
no.
and like one of the things that I use this again with adults too when I'm dueling them is I am not a large human. I am a fairly petite woman. I am about. I mean, I just hit petite. I'm 5'5", and so some of the kids are bigger than me. Uh,
But you can also suplex a bus. Like I
yeah,
have met you.
so you just come rushing at them with this big old axe screaming, and they'll turn and run. Like adults will turn and run. So that's one of my favorites is intimidation factor.
You run at them screaming
I
with a
love it.
two-handed battle axe, which is also known as Viking foreplay. Just little known
That's
fact.
that's true.
But yeah, no, I'm a big fan of like the big showy pieces. I do have my standard go-to is I have two broadswords that I have on my hip at all time. Um, and yeah, that those have been my favorite props, just because they're they make my arms longer.
I
They look
love
cool.
it.
They're alternating colors.
Now, out of curiosity, how has your experience as both a player and a DM reflected and influenced what you do with this job? And also, how has this job influenced you as a player and a DM? Because I'm sure there has to be some of both.
Yeah. In regards to being like the way that I mean, being a player and entering into the world of, guiding kids through this adventure is really having that understanding of what it feels like to be on the other side and not knowing what's in the DM's mind,
Mhm.
and trying to find different ways to help them put those pieces together and really learning to take that support role as opposed to like imposing yourself and your story and like the overall world vision
Okay.
into what they want, is kind of the biggest thing that I've found, and like trying to feel like how would I want my character to be handled. And that's one of the ways, but really I would say the other way around, like having taken on this job and working with the kids that I do and working predominantly with kids, um, has really influenced myself as a, well, one, being a lot more patient with my DMs and like, like I get it. There's like 20 things happening. You have to keep all these storylines straight. Everyone's talking at you at the same time.
And the rogue just went and done something stupid.
Right. Yeah,
Hey now, we
exactly.
don't need to talk about my character in Strahd.
I was talking about mine from Tuesday.
um, yeah, so that has definitely been a thing, and then that whole spirit of the rule of cool, the rule of fun. Like if it's fun, just go with it. Being open to letting the story change, making it more about your players, especially when I'm DMing, making it more about the world they're trying to create. We call it co-creation. And like if they come up with something really cool in their story or how they would go about an approach, may not be what we're supposed to be doing or what was written or anything like that, but if it makes sense to the characters, there's no reason not to do that except for just being stuck on it.
Awesome.
I wish I had a little party popper to set off, because we just hit 5 episodes straight of mentioning the rule of cool.
Rule of cool.
Rule of cool is very, very important.
It's like it's big.
It is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, I guess sort of my follow-up to that, and this is partially a personal anecdote. I played in a session 0/session 1 on Tuesday, and next Tuesday we play our first true session, and I have to come up with a new character for that session because, long story short, I thought I had a great idea. My rogue was off by himself and decided to attack what he thought would be a very pushover guard. Turns out this is a nigh invincible NPC, got one-shotted. There is no plausible way for him to come back to the story. So actions have consequences, and I'm creating a new character. As Jordan and I like to say, yeet that sheet. You got to come up with a new one.
I love that you say that like we didn't just offhandedly make that up last week.
No, we didn't. You did. That's going to be on the shirt. Yeet the sheet. But what I'm curious about is, do you ever have that situation happen with like one of the kids or one of their characters? And how is that handled? Like if it's a point where the character would either be dead or not feasible to return to the story, or maybe that character feels like they met their end game conditions. Because I ran a game where at level 5, the rogue of the party, it's always the rogue, I'm realizing from these stories, decided he wanted to become a sausage maker, and he retired. And that game has still been going on for over a year plus after that. Same player has a different character. So how do you handle that? Like, because I know it took me a long time as an adult to be okay with the idea of my character dying or my character not going on. And I'm like, oh man, I would have had an even harder time as a kid. So how do they deal with it? And how do you deal with it?
That's a really good question. And it's important with working both with kids and with adults, and just players in general, because characters are such a personal thing, especially when it's your first few characters. There's so much of you in that character, whether you realize it or not. And with some of the questers that we work with, they are really, there's very little difference between who they are as a person and who their character is. Sure. Like their character is their avatar into this world that they're making, but there really isn't much of a difference. They don't have necessarily their own character traits. So it's a very delicate balance, and that's where we do a lot of, for example, if a character would die or if a character would be knocked out from something, we do, just like in regular play, a lot of times their friends, their companions will come to their rescue. Like if somebody decided it was a good idea to jump off of a cliff and their character is some sort of granite being and they're shattered into 1,000 pieces and there's no way their friends can help them, they put them all together and find someone that can help them. Or their character becomes a ghost and they have to figure out what to do from there. Or but we always try to focus on, there is a way for you to go forward if that is what you think your character would do, and really asking those questions to the kids when those come up. Or say if they attack the town guard. And they end up,
like you do. And like actions have consequences. They may not be able to go back into that city if they've survived, or they'll end up in jail until their friends bail them out, and then they can't be in that countryside for a while. And letting those actions have natural consequences. We have some stories of kids that have
been questing with us for a long time that still have bounties on their heads from something they did when they were 8.
Nice.
They come up, you know, and it's not necessarily about punishing them, but it's about showing that, you know, actions do have consequences. But for us, because we can't necessarily have them re-roll a character, it's finding a way that they can still be the hero, even if their characters had some sort of misstep like that. Like, okay, you decided it was a good idea to burn down a village. Like,
Okay, I feel like you keep mentioning characters of mine.
I feel like you haven't been playing the game right if you haven't set a village on fire at some point, you know?
That's because Jordan always plays chaotic YOLO.
Just because it's true doesn't mean you need to say it.
But yeah, it that one's again a little difficult, a little muddy for us because, you know, again, we are trying to let them explore those portions of themselves.
Sure.
And giving them a path, showing them how it would actually fall out.
So it sounds like if you do run into those things, like you said, character knocked out, or, you know, the thing we're always terrified of on a certain level, character death, that you look for the opportunity of how to integrate it into the story, of how to make that move forward.
Yeah. And sometimes we have had characters die. Like, we have definitely had character death. We've had characters retire in different ways. And I feel like we handle it similarly to how you would in any campaign, which for us
Go to the bar? I mean, you said they're 17 and younger.
Yeah. Well,
the juice bar.
It's like, okay, here's, you know, having that moment of mourning, letting people like let it go, and then oftentimes, depending on how long that quester has been with us, or like how well we know that character, sometimes they go on to become part of the lore of the world, and other characters hear about their deeds, and then, you know, they can start another character to do whatever they want and explore things in a different way.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's just I'm imagining like being like 10 or 11 again, and like something dumb happens and my character dies. I come up as someone else, and someone's talking about like my old character and something that I did. Like, that's got to be the coolest, like, full rock star moment for that kid.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So,
and
Jordan, I got to ask you, if this had existed, if 7-year-old Jordan was doing this, and let's say you knew you were going to go from like 7 to 17, doing the whole character, what character would your character have been the most like? Like, because like 7-year-old you is probably going to have a semi-clone of something.
Let's see. At 7, that was a lot of Pokemon and a lot of Dragon Ball. I probably... Yeah, but there was also a lot of Sailor Moon. I probably... honestly, at that time, I probably would have modeled my character as much after Tuxedo Mask as I could. Because, like,
that's legit.
That was my dude at 7. Because,
I mean,
like, at that time, most of my friends in the neighborhood were super into Sailor Moon, and in that friend group, I was the only guy, so Tuxedo Mask. And then he just became my dude, because he showed up. He would just show up and, like, not really save the day, but he'd still kind of help.
I mean, it's like bardic inspiration. It's like bardic inspiration. The bard didn't really save the day, but, you know, offered up that D10 for that roll that made a difference. Like, Tuxedo Mask inspired. I think he gets a bit of a bad rap for not technically doing anything. Because, yeah, he didn't do anything. Because let's face it, Sailor Moon didn't need him to do anything. She was fully
absolutely
capable.
Not. Yeah, that's probably where my character would have come from. Yeah.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Oh, shoot. Mine's easy, man. It'd been a straight up clone of Mad Mardigan from Willow. Like, we don't even to think twice about this. It would have full on been this flashy swordsman. Like, I still make characters that are clones of Mad Mardigan from Willow, because that is my favorite fantasy character of all time.
Yeah.
What about 7-year-old Lydia? Like,
7-year-old
Yeah.
Lydia.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what I would have played. Oh no, Link, 100%.
nice. That was my number 2. That was my number 2 right there.
That actually
Nice.
kind of going back to the question you asked, other properties that kids
Hmm?
like consistently make characters. There's always 1 or 2 Links, usually that have named themselves Zelda.
Okay.
So you have kids that are mute, because as a teacher sometimes like that seems like something I want to make happen more often.
He's not mute.
So-
He says, "Ha, yeah, hua!"
Yeah. I have had questers that have gone full Groot before too.
That's just cool. Especially if they can really be that dedicated to either saying I am Groot or their own phrasing. And that's all they do.
Yep.
I'm actually impressed by the dedication of that.
Yep. Yeah. That was an intense week, but yeah, I've seen kids do it, and it's fantastic. Just that like 100% I am in this.
Well, and so like fun and joking aside, not that I'm trying to get like super serious, but have you ever felt like you've really like had a personal breakthrough with a kid where you like maybe you thought they were struggling as a person or trying to come to their own in some way, and you feel like you or somebody else within the questers have helped made a difference with them, like giving them a new level of confidence or anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, that is ultimately at the core of what we do. Because like, yeah, we are out there, we're playing with swords and we're telling fantasy stories, but really what it's about is helping kids experience their world in a safe way. And dealing with issues that may come up and giving them the opportunity to explore some like actual real world things that they're going to encounter, and come up with their own how they would deal with those. But as far as breakthroughs go and those kinds of things, we've definitely had those moments of like,
That's awesome.
because there are kids that, you know, they're the troublemakers in school or in other after school programs that they come to us and they kind of already have that. But we give them an outlet and don't come at them with that judgment and let them just be themselves, and just giving them that space oftentimes is enough for them to realize that. And yeah, ultimately part of our philosophy that, and part of the training that we go through is like everything is coming from a place of love, even if it's acting out, and helping them find out what it is that they need, what it is that they're missing, and them figuring that out is also a really powerful thing. Yeah. So yeah,
That's legitimately awesome.
yeah, it's really awesome to see kids go through that. And I mean, if I had some of that when I was a kid, like I think a lot of us.
Preach.
Yep. Yeah. That's really amazing. That's and that's a thing that I've on the stream wanted to get at a bit without figuring out how to have a good way to get into it. So thank you, Lydia. Is just the power of like playing games and doing stuff like this, and how it can actually be a part of your real life. And I was hoping that we could kind of get to it today, because the want was to talk about how to make this into a thing that you do like as your job.
Yeah.
And it's always just important to highlight, not forgetting how important to just human existence doing stuff like playing games is, no matter where you are at in life and how many trips around the sun you've made, you know?
Yeah. And I
And
think go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just waffling, hoping to fill space, but I realized that doesn't work well with the slight delay because my internet is dying.
Gotta get you hardwired.
I know.
You know, we learn through play. That's, you know, why kids play, is they, you know, they make believe and they figure out, they test those boundaries, do all of those things. And it is, yeah, a really important thing. And I guess if you are trying to make this your job, and if you want to be good at it, and you want to like keep doing this and have like good experiences with your players and for yourself, because you are a part of the story as well, is just really making space and holding space for your players. Like ultimately, like, you know, the terminology of master, like game master or dungeon master, it's really much more of being a guide or a leader. Like, you are the one that's helping them through this play, you're the one that's initiating it and just letting them have that spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like, personally, some of my best role-playing moments, some of my favorite like times as a player has been where, you know, we just bullshit as our characters, like, just for lack of a better term, of just like, no, I'm just gonna dive into this character, and like that's where the most, like, that's where the good stuff is.
Well, I
And
kind
just
of
being able to have that.
going off of some of what you said there about, you know, the collaborative storytelling, like the working together on it. One of my favorite pieces of advice as a DM I ever saw on a video, and I've tried to use this a lot, is the idea of not being too rigid in your structure and everything. And like a couple of the examples they gave were, if there's this NPC you've created that you've fallen in love with, and you've put them in this tower that's just west of the town, and you really want your players to encounter them, but your players are now traveling north, make the tower just north of the town. They're like, until your players have encountered it, it doesn't actually exist. So you can put this stuff wherever, or in a dungeon where, oh, I've got these cool traps, great monsters, it's going to challenge them and excite them, and they're down the right hallway, but they went down the left hallway. There's nothing wrong with moving them and placing them down that hallway, because you know your players are going to enjoy this experience. And so I agree with you that what you've been learning as far as, oh, we need to help our, you know, we need to let our players help dictate where the story's going, let them help carry part of the narrative, because if they're enjoying it, that's kind of the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, definitely.
a thing that I wonder, from making this like partly your job, running these kids through these adventures in your own like tabletop playing, is there anything that you have borrowed from one of the kids in like the adventures and taken and used like in your own games, or like with your own characters?
Specifically from
because I would poach from them left and right. I'm not even gonna lie about it. That's good. I'm taking that.
I absolutely do with my students. Like
oh,
whenever,
I bet.
whenever I'm teaching improv classes, like my notes are sometimes not on like, how can I make sure to help them with this thing that they're doing a lot. It's more just, oh, I got to steal that to make that an NPC in a game.
Like, that's good.
Like, oh, I'm using that voice. Remember that pitch? Kind of sounds like a turtle, I expect.
I don't know. Like, I know I've definitely, because a lot of the people that I play with are also quest leaders. Sometimes we'll do illusions, but like we try to I try to keep it down as much as I can. But sometimes, yeah, I will throw in something something ridiculous that's come up in our group. But also kids tend to be a lot more out there with their play than adults are. So sometimes there's not a lot of crossover that we can do, just because it just won't work.
Fair.
Like though, I mean, I've had Kids Enter a Dream Realm, where they had specifically asked for Papa Murphy's pizza that was then cooked by a dragon that turned into a giant table that they could play Magic on.
I mean, depending on what kind of pizza you got from Papa
What?
Murphy's, that sounds like a great day to me. Like,
it's a great time.
that's
What?
like that's amazing, and I find no flaws in this.
That
unless
is
you get
absolutely wonderful.
unless you're getting toppings on your pizza that I don't like, then I don't want to come there. But you know,
Yeah, but if we talk about pizza toppings, you and I both will make the internet hate us. So
Hawaiian's the best.
yeah,
Yeah.
great. So we already did it.
It's
All
not
right.
eat meat anymore, but I
Yeah.
like pineapple on pizza.
It's because it's
Come at us, people that don't like pineapple on pizza.
It's so delicious. It's so delicious. Oh, perfection.
We've done it. We've made our
jalapenos.
claim. Oh yes. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of but yeah, I don't think I've filched a lot from specifically the kids, but I've definitely taken elements from stories I've run for work to run my adult players through.
No, I mean, now that you have said the Papa Murphy Dragon Table Pizza Maker out loud, if that ever shows up in one of your games, and individuals have watched this, they'll know exactly where you got it.
Yeah.
Also,
So it's now entirely possible I may steal this uber polymorphic dragon that cooks food and turns into a banquet table.
I'm saying Papa Murphy Dragon Table sounds like a very interesting ska band that I want to see perform.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't they open for Goldfinger?
Why not? Is that the relaunch of the is that the launch of the Tony Hawk 1+2 remaster?
Exactly.
Uh,
It's like how Guitar Hero used to have those downloadable tracks. If you download the extra tracks for the new Tony Hawk, you get a Papa Murphy Dragon Table.
There it is. God, I really want that to be real now. Oh gods.
just like your date with the Tarrasque, you've got to make it happen. You can make it happen.
Yes.
Anything is possible.
There's a will, there's a way.
The new
There's a will,
ABC show. The new ABC show. My Date with the Tarrasque.
Now, would,
Oh,
that,
you
pick
say that
ABC for
jokingly.
now, would that be like a sitcom, or would that be like a reality show?
Ooh, that's tough.
Like, is My Date with the Tarrasque kind of like The Bachelor, and just like the last person who doesn't get eaten alive wins?
I would say it's probably a reality show.
Yeah, I'm
mostly 'cause
definitely
it's
leaning
cheaper
reality
to
show
do.
with that.
I mean, I'd watch the hell out of it. Like, I'm not even pretending. Like, I would absolutely watch.
So now, Date with the Tarrasque, coming this fall.
On ABC.
Yep. If anyone from ABC sees this, I will help you make that show.
Yeah, exactly. Jordan will be the Tarrasque.
Oh my god, if I could get like a Tarrasque suit that's like one of the inflatable T-Rex suits.
Right?
Bro,
There's a
that'd be
market for
dope.
that.
Absolutely. And that would go perfectly for you at work, Lydia.
Yeah, exactly. So visibility is a problem.
I mean,
oh yeah, oof.
Yeah, and I mentioned that the swashers are soft, but still, when they think that your body mass is right about where your view window is, and they smack you right there, no fun.
Oh, no,
I take it you speak from experience.
Yes, I am.
That is now a story I want to hear more of.
Oh no!
You were a dinosaur and you caught the sword right to the eyes.
Yep, right to the eye. It's not a fun story. I have not had that happen, but I have definitely taken swashers to the eye, and yeah, not a fun feeling. But yeah.
So what is the current future for everything with the business, and like how's, like, obviously we're in the now times where
Yes.
none of what you would normally do can happen, and also we're when you would normally do it in the summer, that's kind of at its zenith.
Yeah.
So what's the current plan for everything with that now, and what's the plan going forward?
So for the fall, right now we're moving into what's our after school programs, which are publicly open to kids from any school, cross country, in fact, because we're doing digital, so people can be online whenever. So we're getting ready to launch our online programs next week. We're still waiting back to hear from a few parks as far as what we'll be able to offer in person. And of course, in person, we have a lot of rules to make sure that kids stay safe, and we're screening people and doing all of those things, which, it's not fun, but it's safety is our number one priority. It's like, it's the number one rule for us, is to make sure kids are feeling safe physically and emotionally. So we take that very seriously, and to be able to do camps, we've got to had to adjust for that. But yeah, so we will be, while the weather is still good and while we still have access to parks with running water so that we can wash hands and do all that fun stuff, we'll be questing through until October, and then we'll just continue doing online until the weather is nice again. But yeah, so we've got StarQuest starting up, which is ours, like I mentioned earlier. We do have a creative writing course that's called Quest and Quill for kids, to explore creative writing and make their stories come to life with their characters that they get to play through their stories. And we are starting actually Mythology Quest, where kids get to play through actual real world myths. Our one that's starting next week, hopefully starting next week, is from Vala, which, if you guys haven't, is the Finnish epic. It's a story that's about 3,000 years old, and a lot of the stuff from it inspired Lord of the Rings.
Oh, nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, when you get to that area, I was like, oh, if we're going to like the Rig Veda, I'm like, I got you. Not familiar with that one, but that's another thing you should send me a link to so I can read, because that's
Yes, definitely. Project Gutenberg has it, and there are some recordings of it online. It is an actual epic. It's a poem, so it is worth listening to.
wonderful. I'm always about more Scandinavian stuff.
Yeah.
Thing I know.
Now I'm curious. I'm curious. With more of your own gaming as opposed to running stuff with the kids. With your own gaming, what is a thing that you do to get yourself more attached, like with whatever character you're playing or the NPC that you're doing or the world you're building? Do you have any things that you do? Because I know whenever Bjorn and I talk about stuff like that, we are primarily actors, and we've been acting for forever, and I do not know if you've been acting for forever or not.
I have been.
Well,
yeah. But it's always different.
But it's always nice to know still other people's things that they do.
Yeah. I guess it's different. If I'm playing an NPC, usually I try to ground them very realistically. I guess I give them a voice and a posture and a body lead focus, whether that's they always have their chest puffed out, or they're always trying to look at you this way, because whatever, those kinds of things help me get in character. And with my own D&D characters, I kind of wing it. I'm not good at creating backstories. I like mundane backstories. Heroes that were just I hate my job, my wife is leaving me, I'm gonna just go for a walkabout. My friend has natural innate magic abilities. I'm just gonna, I could study for it, or I could sell my soul to a demon. I'm gonna do that because it's easier. So I like
whatever causes you to send the smallest size document to the DM before you start.
Yes, yeah. I'm here, let me send you a text message with my backstory.
Yes, your lore doc is 3 sentences.
Yeah.
Sometimes being
Woke
succinct
up,
is
was
good.
bored, left home, done.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not disparaging anyone that has a deep backstory, but for me, I have more fun with characters that don't have much of that because I want to discover who the character is, and
Sure.
then I'll kind of like fill them into the world. So yeah, just kind of what powers they have, how they came to those powers, and just kind of like I'll meet them when I get there.
Awesome. Awesome.
Jordan and I are going to run out of time here.
All right.
Yeah,
too,
we've hit the
but
last
I
5 minutes, so
Oh wow.
yeah,
I
I
also
know.
want to ask, since we've just been drilling you about your DM time and your work and on all of that, is there anything else you have on the docket coming up soon, or that you're working on? Because again, I know you're a singer, you're a performer, you're a costumer, you do
Yeah.
so much stuff. Like, what do you have coming up
Oh.
soon? Or it's possible you have nothing because we're in the now times.
We are in the now times, and yeah, I had lots of plans in the before time of what I would be doing. But yeah, no, I currently don't believe that I have anything that's like upcoming that I could be like, yeah, check out this thing that I'm going to be doing. Yeah, I'm taking a bit of a break, which was my plan already this year, but then it definitely became my plan this year.
So when
Yeah,
2021 gets here, what do you think will likely be on the docket for you, and what should we be on the lookout for?
Oh, well, I'm currently in like pre-production for a show called Tally's Folly, which is a 2-person show. And so that will be coming up probably in 2021. Our producer wants to wait until we can actually properly produce it in the theater. So that will be something that's upcoming. I'm currently working on my friend and I are working on an audio drama of some of the adventures our characters have been on that kind of stems off of that one-shot campaign that I was talking to you guys about, I think, before we started filming. Earlier. I mean, it was spontaneous. I was summoned. Sorry, I just ruined the magic. But
you can only
yeah,
let suspension of disbelief go so far.
Yeah. But so I will be working on that. That will be a fully narrative version of what we're doing. So I will keep you guys updated on what those
Please
are
do.
if you are wanting to share those.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. So other than that, yeah, I'm taking a real break.
And when it goes up on stage, is that gonna be up in Skagit?
We're not sure yet, and it might tour.
Okay, very cool.
As well.
Ooh.
Because it's a 2-person show. It's really portable.
Oh.
Ain't that wonderful when you have just very little and you can move
Go
things
anywhere.
around, as opposed to trying to do a 17 cast member show with various props, costumes, and whatnot. Lydia knows exactly what I was referring to.
I know exactly, and they always turn out really well because of the cast that ends up with doing them.
If we invited you back, would you join us again?
I would love to be back.
Cool, because we've only had 2 guests so far. So as long as we get this, return buy-in on them, we can get them to continually come back. So now you've said it on the internet, which means that
I have. It's there forever.
Hold you to it.
All right.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming through and answering all of our scatterbrained questions.
Yeah, of course. Oh, do you mind if I plug my work?
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Again, if you're interested, if anybody is interested in learning more about us, you can find us online at questnorthwest.com. And we do stuff for kids ages 6 through 17. We can also do private events, birthday parties, corporate events, whatever you are looking for. We've probably got something for it. So thank you.
And Lydia, also,
Absolutely.
if you send us a message, we'll share that on our page too.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank
so
you.
You'll be able to find everything for these amazing quests that Lydia and the coworkers run. I spent like 2 seconds looking it up while we were doing this show, and it looks super dope.
We're gonna have to do it for your birthday. I'm not even kidding. I'm not.
Yeah,
even kidding.
no, like I'm kind of feeling it. It's gonna be. Yep, that's kind of a big one. Because it just sounds so rad. It just sounds so rad. But
It really does.
Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. We've hit
Thank
the
you
end
again.
of what we say is our time. But always remember, keep yourselves safe, keep yourselves alive, because we can't really have a show with dead fans. We are
Yeah.
not necromancers, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll try. But thank you all for showing up. I am Jordan,
I'm Bjorn.
and our
Good
guest.
Lydia.
Thank
Yes,
you so
Lydia.
much. This has been Dice Jailers. See you next
Ally
week.
is a verb.
Yes, do things. If you're gonna call yourself an ally, do things. We always, as you can see, we always end the show by just continuing to say things. Even though we've like tried to end like 4 times, because we always think
Yeah.
of one more thing, which is
Pretty damn right.
the one more thing is to remind you all that next week we'll be back at our regular time of 5:30. So if you if you show up early, you will end up with a non-existent stream. But you can always watch some of our past episodes, now all of them up on our YouTube, and I think the most recent 2, I believe, is what we have Twitch setting up to save for us. So
I think
please
so.
watch
That's what it looked
our
like
other
when I looked.
things. Go back to last week and watch us grill Jamie on her characters.
Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty fun, not gonna lie. We're probably gonna do it again.
Oh yeah.
But thank you all for coming. We will see you next week. Stay alive, do all the good things, wash your hands, let's live, and be good people. I don't know. We still
Yeah.
need a tagline.
Don't be a dick.
Hashtag we need a tagline.
That's yes.
That's it.